It's that time of year again where we get excited for new information for the new WWE 2K video game. For 11 years, 2K and Visual Concepts have worked on the juggernaut of all wrestling games. I've played these games before, so I'm speaking from experience. With the license going nowhere for the foreseeable future, here are 100 gameplay improvements that WWE 2K can use for years to come. Obviously, all these changes won't happen within a yearly release, but over multiple years. I'm not going to include obvious wishes such as Spotify integration, intergender matches, and yes, even the bra and panties. These do not count towards the list because they are incredibly unlikely to ever be implemented into the game.
I mean, some people think that.
Have you heard the big news about the...
There are no AI writing tools, just pure passion for wrestling games, of which I will include gameplay of wrestling games past. I'm not making this video out of rage or wanting to be some kind of CM Punk wannabe martyr, but because of pure pro wrestling love. With that being said, kick back, grab a drink, something to eat, and strap in, because this is gonna be a long one. This list is by section, and each number is equal in importance. Let the wish list begin. Let's start with the hot take, a smaller roster.
What?
Now I know what you're thinking, bigger is better, right? Well, in my opinion, having the biggest roster ever as a repeated tagline every year is annoying. What is the point of having so many people with so little personality? Every character feels the same. Here are the playable rosters for the past 10 games without managers. Now compare that to 2K24, which has a whopping 328 playable characters. A smaller roster would provide more attention for each character and provide a unique style for everybody. I would also like to include that the game is 93 gigs on PC. That's almost as big as Call of Duty Warzone. Just saying, there are too many legends in the game that take the shine away from the current wrestlers. If people want to use legends, go ahead. You can play 2K23 and have the same experience as 24. Drop last gen or have separate teams. This is another controversial topic within the community. Current gen, which is the PS5 and Xbox Series X, have been out for 5 years at the time of this video. Old gen consoles, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, still have up to 49 million active players in 2025, about equal to the next gen population. Let me remind you what happened in 2014. PS4 came out and WWE 2K15 was the first installment on the next gen console. However, the game fell due to poor reviews and removal of staple features. However, 2K15 was also released on old gen, and both versions of the game had different issues. Next gen 2K15 had new graphics, an awful career mode, chain wrestling, and less cost slots. While the old gen didn't have the shiny new graphics, it kept everything 2K14 had, but included an exclusive Who Got NXT mode where you had to fight John Cena at his most broken. 2K25 would mark the 10th WWE main series game of the PS4 and Xbox One, equal to the PS2, PS3, and Xbox 360. If history repeats itself, 2K25 is the last game to be released on old gen, which means 2K26 has the most potential to be the biggest game changer in the series, other than 2K20. But if they want to make more money, having different teams would be the best way to go, with the next gen getting more features, while the old gen uses the same assets, but with an updated roster. Number 3, get rid of too many duplicates. 328, that number haunts me because how on earth did it get to this point where we have slots for unneeded models? 2 extra Bray Wyatt, 2 extra Triple H's, 2 extra Hulk Hogan personas, 3 CM Punk personas, 4 extra Rhea Ripley's, 8 extra John Cena's, and an Uncle Howdy with Bo Dallas. But what is the point? He has a freaking mascot. The point here is that there are so many unwanted duplicates. Worst thing about this is that at the rate that personas are coming out, there are going to be even more duplicates. This game makes me want a Persona 3 myself for real. These duplicates are the reason why the roster is so inflated. Too many of the same characters spoils the selection, in my opinion. Number 4, better weapon physics. It's like beating a dead horse at this point. Let me introduce SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. Now this point is not going to single-handedly fix everything. This is just an amazing feature that always guarantees a pop. We saw an inkling of these new weapon physics in the recent games, such as the improved ignited table and broken kendo stick. However, slams onto the steel chairs, slams onto the steel stairs, and trash can are still missing. In 24, we got weapon throws back, so we are slowly getting there. Number 5, set up steel chair. This was a feature back in 2001. SmackDown, just bring it. There were no weapon physics back then besides throwing someone into things and tables. With the modernization of deathmatch wrestling, the set of steel chair provides another brutal visual during an intense match. 24, there was a door weapon that is pretty much a legless table. Example of setting up 2 chairs as the pillars for the door, create a makeshift table. All we can do with the chairs is pile them and wedge them into the corner. We used to be able to Pillmanize people on the leg and neck, even do the concerto. Example is what Ethan Page did to Javon Evans on NXT. Number 6, different backstage areas. This is going to the controversial 2K20. Hold on, let me explain. Current backstage is a big loading dock and a parking lot. I prefer the 2K20 areas because there isn't just one, but multiple areas. There's a locker room, GM office, interview area, catering, even the gorilla position. As a content creator, using these backstage areas is a huge quality of life improvement. You can do segments pretty much anywhere, but as it stands, you have to download an arena of a backstage and go on from there. A blurry pixelated backstage is a poor representation of what we could have, but we have to make do with the materials we have. Number 7. Chain wrestling. It's not like we have wrestlers in wrestling boots and wrestling tights in a wrestling ring. These games have adopted this fighting game style combo of grabs, blocks, and dodges that make no sense in a wrestling game. This isn't UFC or Tekken. This is pro wrestling. Chain wrestling is important for the feeling out process in a match, even in the late stages. I get that the game is trying to be this casual, fast-paced style game, but it is not pro wrestling. Now I know everybody isn't Gunther or Bryan Danielson, but for the Gunthers and Bryan Danielsons, this feature immerses the player to a near authentic experience of real grab. Number 8, fix arenas. The games strive for accurate representation of what they are portraying. SmackDown 2002 was introduced in 2K23, where John Cena answered Kurt Angle's open challenge. In-game, they have the custom nameplate, but something is wrong. The nameplate usually has a small clip of the Titantron on the bottom. It may be a little nitpicky of me, but when something is bothersome, it needs to be fixed. The Raw 2002 arena is also messed up because there's no table. WrestleMania 21, it is specifically for Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, but not every match is going to be Angle versus Michael. It should just say WrestleMania 21. ECW One Night Stand. There are stairs right outside the entrance. No game has gotten Hammerstein Ballroom correct. However, WrestleMania 5 has stairs, and I'm sure they could use those assets for One Night Stand. Number 9, different arenas. Back to 2K20, say what you want about the game, but the 2K Originals content was creative, out of the box. Think you had wasteland, futuristic, horror, and even retro style arenas and characters. I would love to have more content of that style. Currently, for original arenas, we are still using arenas from 2019, such as Lucha Magica, PWJ, Club UK, and they even had the New Day arena years before a real life arena was made. Originals had content that was different, and I believe that having unique ideas is something that should be accounted for. Number 10. Introduce challenge mode. This was a feature in SVR up until 2008. There are ways to go about this. You can have specific stipulations such as using 2 finishers, a super finisher, weapon usage, etc. Or you could go the way I prefer this mode, the SVR07 way, where you just have a match type and just go start the challenge. I don't want it the way SVR08 had it, where you had to get achievements in all modes. That idea sucked. You can do this challenge mode to easily unlock wrestlers and obtain VC. The only problem I see with adding such a mode is that they would make this a MyFaction exclusive. If you want to see it like this, imagine Defeat the Streak in 2K14, or even who got NXT in 2K15 as prime examples of challenge mode matches. Another example would be Defeat the Tribal Chief, especially with Roman Reigns being the cover star for 25, and also being the longest reigning world champion in modern history. You can have multiple bloodline interferences such as the Usos super kick and solo Samoans fight. This mode would add longevity to single player mode. Number 11, removable clothing accessories. Now I know what you're thinking, this isn't in regards to bra and panties. 2K18 brought back the removing strap from older games. People such as Big E, Kurt Angle, and The Undertaker were able to pull down the straps to signify that the end is coming. Recently, in 24, Dragon Lee was able to pull down his knee pad, a feature that is only exclusive to him. I want this feature for everybody, including Cause. People such as Will Ospreay or Adam Cole would either remove an elbow pad or knee pad to add more damage to their opponent. Don't just let pads be the limits of this feature. You could even include tearaway pants and shirts, like Hulk Hogan's shirt rib, and even Angel Garza or Taichi's tearaway pants. If right trigger and down is to remove, you can also use right trigger and up, left trigger and down for button options. Number 12, turn payback on and off. Introduced in 19, paybacks were added to implement a more strategic way of playing, an ace in the hole, if you will, using instant recovery and pause and pin to various heal tactics, such as low blow and brass knuckle punch. I'm more in favor of having abilities rather than payback. The only real real useful paybacks are resiliency, because you are given an instant kick out, and instant recovery, which is used to get up and take the advantage. When you have a minimum of 100 wrestlers, having the monotonous task of going to every single one to change or turn off payback gets really annoying. There should be an option in the settings to turn them off for everybody, or just add the paybacks to the abilities list. An example is Roman Reigns. Throughout his title reign, he used at least 3 level 2 payback: run in, low blow, and resiliency. I get that this can be a problem for online play, but let's be honest, I would rather play in MyFaction than play online. Just saying. Then again, this is such an issue. Turn on fair play. But then again, everyone would just pick Roman Reigns, so don't play online, I guess. Number 13, get rid of personality traits and class. Introduced in 16, this was used for AI tendencies. Examples include bold versus cowardly, respectful versus disrespectful, and disciplined versus aggressive. The idea is that the closer someone is to one side, then the more the AI would behave that way. I don't really see any changes because everyone more or less moves and feels the same way. This goes back to point 1 of each person not being unique because of how big the roster is. Class is in regards to fighting style, such as striker, technician, high flyer, and powerhouse. This was similar to 08's fighting style, but there was a reason it was removed in the next game, because it sucked. They were overpowered and abusable. Compared to 24, classes, much like the personality traits, had no variety or difference to gameplay. Get rid of traits in class for a boost in momentum or something different. Number 14, having moving selection screen or in-game model renders. For me, this is a selfish throwback. From Here Comes the Pain until 07 and back to 2011, we had moving pre-match animations. You would pick a wrestler, and right before match confirmation, it would move just like in the product at the time. In 18, each wrestler in the selection screen was their in-game model, so it doesn't look too out of place with cause. In 19 and 20, everybody had the same drab pose of looking at the camera or angling their body slightly. In 22, you can finally include custom images to your wrestler. This gave a feeling of authenticity, giving the player the idea that Kenny Omega or Kazuchika Okada is in a WWE game. I honestly like the way it is now, where you can use an image, but there is just something different when a wrestler is moving in the graphic. Cause would stick out like they used to back in the day compared to the menu PNGs, so it could go either way. But if you don't use cause, then moving animations are better in my opinion. However, with 300 something characters, it seems like a steep hill to climb to get this aesthetic feature back. Number 15, bring back different crowd reactions, small to loud pop. This may seem like a stretch from a developer's point of view. Everybody has their favorites and most hated in wrestling. Crowd reactions for someone low on the card should not be the same as a main event level wrestler. Roman Reigns should not have the same amount of crowd reaction as Dwight the Clown. Dominic Mysterio should be booed more than Shinsuke Nakamura. I get that the environmental sound is an option in the settings, but the sound is equal to every wrestler. Fix to this would be in create an entrance or a popularity meter. As a matter of fact, WWE recently included a decibel level to show how loud a crowd can be. Matches such as Rock vs. Austin do not be as loud as a lower card match. In MyGM, there's even a popularity stat. They can implement that to the actual game, then matches would seem even bigger than they seem. Number 16, alternate commentary team. In weekly WWE programming, we are treated to Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Each of these shows have a different way of presenting themselves, from rosters, ring announcers, and even the commentators. During the Ruthless Aggression era, Raw had Jerry the King Lawler and good old Jim Ross, while SmackDown had Michael Cole and Taz. 24 allows us to have different ring announcers, which is a step in the right direction. Maybe we can have generic ring announcers for Lucha Magica, Pro Wrestling Japan, among the other original content. Given how many voice lines are recorded for the game, this is a tall task to handle. It would make matches more interesting with different commentators instead of just Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton on all shows. This feature includes the debut of Booker T and Vic Joseph for NXT, Cole and Graves for SmackDown, and Wade Barrett and Cole for Raw, since Raw keeps changing partners on Barrett. This would also help in Universe. You can assign which team you want for your show. Number 17, AI hits signature, then sets up for finisher. This is an annoying problem that happens every single match. The opponent would hit you with a signature move and go straight for a pin. Most signature moves nowadays are transition moves for the finisher, letting the fans know that the finisher is coming. There are so many examples of this. Roman Reigns' Superman punch into the spear, Rock spinebuster into people's elbow, Rey and Dominic's Mysterio's 619 into the frog splash, Finn Balor's shotgun dropkick into coup de grace. I get that not everybody has this set up for their finisher, but I would rather have the AI follow through with the finish than to go for the cover. Pins after certain sigs are fine, but it ruins the match flow when there is an opportunity to unleash their devastating hold. Number 18. Put real 60 FPS for entrances. In the settings, there is an option to either run the game at 30 or 60 FPS. I, as a PC player with up-to-date graphics and specs, decided to pick 60 FPS, and to make sure that the game is running properly, I turned on my Steam overlay, and what do I see? I see that the entrances are still at 30 FPS despite picking 60. In-game, it decides to run at a smooth 60, but when I have to go to my graphics settings and specifically move the FPS to 55 because 60 was too fast. A default frame rate should have what I put in the settings. I shouldn't have to go through hoops in order to get this 60 FPS, so fixing that to me is a necessity. Number 19. Hold submissions until 5 count. This is a feature that was in previous installments. You put someone in a submission, you would have the option to keep the hold applied or to let go. Currently, this feature hasn't been in the game for almost a decade now and adds an extra oomph to the match. You can be a heel and hold the ropes to achieve maximum damage, or you can be a respectful face and let go when there's a rope break. This also adds another way of ending the match via DQ, such as Perk Angle not letting go of the ankle lock because he is crashing out. You know, modern slang terms. Number 20. Reach for ropes and submissions. To coincide with the previous feature, reaching for the rope. This adds an urgency to whether or not someone is going to tap out. On every submission attempt, a wrestler should not have to punch or kick their way out of every hold. Sometimes they need to grab the ropes as a means of escape. Some moves, such as the Boston Crab, and that's about it. More holds need this, and could even include the option to pull opponents away from the ropes. This would be a cool feature if someone just got pulled away right as they're about to touch the rope. Number 21. Better camera angles. If you watch modern wrestling programming in general, there are many camera angles that can happen at any given moment. Specifically during moves, the camera on occasion will change. In Wrestle Kingdom, you can feel each and every move because of the way the camera is set. I'm not talking about the camera effects per se, but how a move looks with the way the angles change. This can also be applied to highlight reel, as that feature is literally just a camera. There are several angles, but in game, while you're playing or watching the match, an extra shake adds an extra oomph to certain moves. Number 22. Weapon skin. It's funny, 2K20 has a third point on this list. One thing 20 strived on was original content. Take out the awful day one release, game patches, and terrible MyRise. The game had some positives. Weapon skins provide the base weapons a fresh coat of paint. The orange ladder and showcase popped me because it is such a simple change of color as compared to the normal silver ladder. I want yellow ladders, black ladders, barbed wire tables, blue steel chairs. These are all in the game, but only exclusive to showcase. Bring these over to all modes to provide even more options when it comes to weapons. Number 23. Add default time limit. Now you might be asking, why is this on the list? Because most game matches rarely go up to 30 minutes unless something stupid happens, like getting stuck in the crowd or being unable to finish the match. This is technically already in the game using custom rules, but I prefer to have another way of finishing a match besides pin, submission, DQ, or countout. By default, matches are infinite. Using a time limit adds a sense of urgency when it comes to the closing minutes. Number 24. Limb damage levels. This should without a doubt absolutely positively be a part of every wrestling game. Back to the chain wrestling point, in most matches, a strategy is a part of the match, targeting the legs to take out speed or the arms to decrease strength. In this clip, notice how Eddie is trying to sell the leg after so much damage. A feature that I would like is a critical effect when it comes to limb damage. An event that happens at random, some freak accident would occur to a body part that results in injury. Injuries don't occur over weeks, but a single moment where something unexpectedly bad happens, which results in said injury, and the severity can vary from light injury to career ending. This would be an amazing feature to include in a game that is based on live performance where anything and everything can go wrong at a moment's notice. Number 25. Import exhibition changes to universe. Whenever you want to start a new universe save, it starts with the default setting. Any changes you make outside of universe must be accepted to the save you intend to use. This is annoying because each time you want to start a new universe, any change that you have made outside of the mode will be reset to default. I would make it to where universe starts with what is in exhibition to prevent having to repeat whatever changes I made. You change someone's moveset or entrance before creating a save, guess what? You have to go back and confirm the save again, but also have to assign it to both exhibition and your dedicated universe save. I understand that it is a couple of buttons to answer, but we shouldn't have to do this every time for a new save. Number 26. Pin on top of Hell in a Cell. A fix for an annoying problem. Pins and submissions on the top of the Hell in a Cell. For so long, we have been unable to finish the Hell in a Cell match on the top of the cage and are only limited to finishing the match in the ring. Might I refer you to New Legacy Inc. WWE 2K23 match with Macho Man vs. Cameron Grimes. That match went on for 41 minutes due to not being able to finish the match on top of the cell. And shut your mouth and here comes the pain. You were able to win on top. So to avoid this significant problem, we need to be able to win on top of the cell. Number 27. Bigger Hell in a Cell space. On the topic of Hell in a Cell, I want a bigger space. The cell feels compact and not big enough for good movement. Notice how much space is around the corners in SVR 11. You can walk around without having to be forced to jump from one side to the other. I get the aim for accuracy, but when there's very small moving room, it becomes very limited for what you can do on the outside of the ring. More weapons should be available in Hell in a Cell matches such as ladders and thumbtacks because both were used in real life. Number 28. Commentary table physics. Commentary table provides another oh my god moment. Usually, you would do a finisher through it and slam your opponent's head into the table and that's about it. I want to be able to jump off of the table and do a diving attack onto my opponent. Recently, we have seen this spot where the wrestlers are thrown over the table and onto the commentator's space. Seeing this addition to the gameplay would make for a cool moment in the match. You can heavy throw your opponent and they would fly over the table, and they would stay outside for a couple of seconds to sell the effect. I get this can be used as a greasy tactic to get a cheap count out, but it would provide suspense during the match. Number 29. Lumberjack match. With the modern games being able to handle 8 characters at the same time, I feel like it's about time that we got this match type. You can pick whether or not the lumberjacks are aggressive and attack the person outside, or passive where they can just throw the opponent into the ring, depending on what role you assign them. This would be great for faction warfare matches. Number 30. Championship Scramble. Personally, this is one of my favorite match types to ever be put in a WWE game. The Championship Scramble is a 5-man match where 2 wrestlers start and every 2 minutes a new wrestler comes in, and whoever gets a pin or submission becomes the champion. This continues until time expires. The games in the past have done this match well, and I would be excited to see this match back. Number 31. Iron Survivor. This match type is currently ongoing and is a spin of the Championship Scramble. Instead of the King of the Hill style, it follows a point system, with the winner being the person with the most points. The inclusion of the penalty box gives a sense of danger as someone is always trying to get a point. As this match debuted not too long ago, it would be in line with the authentic WWE experience to include this match in the game. Number 32. Empty Arena match. A match that was technically in the game if you turn off audience density. Imagine a fully fleshed out version of the match. I'm not counting WrestleMania 36 because that is an arena, not a match type. I want to be able to fight in the front with hundreds of chairs at disposal. This match could be used to elevate feuds and even be used as a background for promos in Universe mode. Number 33. 3 Stages of Hell. A match that was last seen in 2K15 in Showcase mode. This stipulation revolves around 2 falls and a 3rd match if required. You can open with a normal match, followed by a hardcore match, and if needed, a steel cage match. Damage carries over just like in Iron Man matches. This allows players to play back-to-back matches without being limited to only one result. With the amount of singles matches available, there are endless mix-ups in regards to stipulations. Number 34. Exposed Turnbuckle. This has been a personal pet peeve of mine ever since they made this change. How many times have you thrown someone into the exposed turnbuckle with a normal Irish whip and they fall down, rendering the player to use the drag system as the only way to put an opponent in the corner? In the old games, the opponent would just sell the corner, but moves were still able to be done. Nowadays, the opponent would just fall down. I want to be able to do moves in the exposed corner without the need of dragging. You can still keep the falling animation by using a heavy Irish whip instead of a normal one. Number 35. Bring back normal, quick, and epic match setting. A feature that is much needed. This affects how much momentum a person gets in a match. Matches can have a slow pace or become a quick 5-move match. I shouldn't have to watch Roman Reigns' match go along with Pat McAfee. It's just not happening. However, with this match setting, the match would go pretty short. Maybe even a Gunther vs Cody Rhodes match would go long, as compared to a Braun Breaker match. Each match has a different match flow, and with how things are currently, every match is more or less the same. This would once again add personality to the game. Number 36. Squash match. This feature was introduced in 18 and falls under certain conditions. Much like the previous point, squash matches are fast, one-sided battles where all it takes is a strong wrestler to overwhelm the opponent. Most of Goldberg's streaks were squash matches. 1 spear and 1 jackhammer, and the match would be over. Another example is Omos. While with 7 foot, 3 inches of a Nigerian giant have to struggle against any cruiserweight. Even CM Punk lost to Jon Moxley in a squash for the AEW World title, and their main event wrestlers. I want this feature back since this happens on rare occasions. Number 37. Crown Jewel Arena. This deserves a point on its own. Crown Jewel has been a pay-per-view since 2018, and not once has it been a part of the games. It has been 7 years and 11 pay-per-views later in Saudi Arabia. Recently, the Elimination Chamber from 2023 was in the game, but never Crown Jewel. And now since King and Queen of the Ring happened over there, it is most likely to be in. If they are unable to add the arena, at least add the graphics and let Community Creations handle it like we always do. Number 38. Show what brand a wrestler is on. With the current landscape of professional wrestling, the brands have gone back to being separate entities. SmackDown is different from Raw, and NXT is different from both. In games past, it would show what brand someone is on and even have a background sometimes. This in combination with promotions such as AEW and New Japan, even original content like PWJ and BCW could benefit single player experience, especially in universe mode. Number 39. Sort by brand. This coincides with the previous point. Currently, you can sort wrestlers by weight class, gender, and overall. Having this option allows quick access to pick from custom rosters who need a match or segment. With how much emphasis there is on brands, this feature would prove useful when it comes to content creation. Number 40. Make MyRise and MyGM characters playable on all modes. A request that has been done before in both 19 and 20. Most players got immersed into the lore of some of the original characters. Wrestlers like Cole Quinn, El Mago, Miley Fan, and Psycho Sally. This list could even include some of the NXT trainers such as Matt Bloom and Sarah Del Rey. There are many characters that can embody ideas from the players. With original content including BCW and TBD, you can have an entire brand of original characters to use. This isn't limited to just MyRise, but also MyGM. That mode has so many fodder characters that can be used to show off other wrestlers, plus they can also be used as members of a roster. Currently, these characters can only be played in MyFaction or GM mode. You should be able to play all the characters in all modes. It feels bad when you know these models are accessible but are locked to only one mode. I know I said I wanted a small roster, but having original characters is acceptable for me. But not all those duplicates. Get rid of those. Number 41. Different tournament style. Currently, there is only one style of tournament in the game, and that is the normal one-round style. Now that wrestling has exploded onto the mainstream like never before, I feel that different styles of tournament should be added. In MyRise, there was a copy of the G1 Climax. Your wrestler ends up winning. How cool would it be to run your own G1, or if you watch AEW, the Continental Classic? This being added to Universe would make for an interesting month of playing. The tournament should not be limited to just one sitting, but a month-long process in Universe mode. It would be interesting to see how Visual Concepts handles this idea. Number 42. Moving stage graphics in match. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but when you are playing or watching a match, but if you look at the background on the stage with graphics, it only moves for about 15 seconds and stops. It doesn't just stop on the frame with a logo, but at the very last frame of the graphic. The graphic isn't even placed on a loop, at least the old games had this feature. Number 43. Duplicate camera on Titantron. In previous games, the action in the ring would also appear on the Titantron screen. Before, the Titantron was just a giant screen that gave players something to look at, besides the in-ring action. This feature would be hard to implement since most features use a large screen as the Titantron. Number 44. Put more than 2 titles on the line in all modes. With the way that wrestling is broadcast around the world, people are watching multiple promotions that have a multitude of belts. Wrestlers are not just defending a single title, sometimes 2 and maybe even more. Now, multi-title entrances could be a problem, but being able to win and defend multiple titles belonging to one holder is a step in the right direction. Number 45. Picture-in-picture replays. A feature that is rarely used in the games but very frequent in real life is the use of picture-in-picture. When a big move happens in a match or an epic moment, it should be replayed to mark its impact. Replays already exist, but they were never presented in such a way with picture-in-picture. This could be an option to either have P&P or the normal style of replay. Number 46. Weapon grapples. The final point in the play section are weapon grapples. A few of these are available in 2K24 with the garbage can grab, and the white Russian leg sweep, and the Van Daminate. However, you still can't grab with any other weapon like in the old games. No DDT on the chair, laying your opponent on the table or ladder, steel steps on top of the opponent. We also got weapon throws back, so we are stepping into the right direction. This, plus the return of weapon physics, allows players to open the door of extreme and put people through. Number 47. MyFaction personas are purchasable. The point of MyFaction is to have players grind out VC or buy faction points to play the grueling game of Gacha. Some people don't have the time to play all day, and others don't want to spend the money for a card pack that doesn't even guarantee the event card that is being advertised. Us, the players, just want the event cards without having to spend countless hours fighting an awful server and corporate greed. The way to satisfy both the producers and the consumers is to put a price tag on the good. Now, I don't want a super persona pack that costs $50 for 3 personas. I want all the personas in a pack. That includes the MyRise characters. If they do this, it would probably have an absurd triple-digit price tag, but at least it's there. Number 48. Better servers. This should without a doubt be a high priority, since the entire MyFaction mode depends on this. Make the servers work. You can't play MyFaction if the servers are constantly having issues, especially when you are mostly playing offline matches anyway. The online is only really used for the leaderboard, and we know how populated that thing is. The server having to reconnect is longer than the quick match grind. This is especially annoying for the minority players who are trying to platinum the game and the players who actually enjoy the mode. The mode is not going anywhere, so why is the always online mode being shoved in our face and not even working? So yeah, fix the server. Number 49, MyFaction optional online features. To coincide with the previous point, online features for MyFaction should just be that, features. When you think about it, MyFaction is just an offline mode that got forced into being an online mode. The leaderboard and faction wars are complete fails. The cards are all the same, just with different numbers. If you try to compare it to something like Genshin Impact or Honkai, each character is different. But in MyFaction, all the cards are the same, but have different card sleeves. To entice players into playing the mode, or even the mere thought of hopping on, put a bountiful sign-in bonus such as a large amount of ECN points. Honestly, I could care less about this mode, which leads us to the next point. Number 50. Honestly, get rid of the mode. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. There is a majority part of the community that is in unison of getting rid of MyFaction. The resources in this mode can be used to improve gameplay and other modes. Time and effort are two things that can't be taken back, and the energy being put into this dumpster fire wears out the community. I get that there are MyFaction players who somehow enjoy the mode, but the overwhelming number of people who want this mode to go away silences any support. It may seem like a stretch, but having a battle pass would be the way to go if they want a microtransaction mode. The new battle passes every 2 to 3 months allows new content to flow besides DLC. Number 51. Get rid of needing specific cards for MyFaction challenges. To obtain some card, need to have specific cards to be even able to do the match. If you don't have the specific card, you will be unable to play the match. This is an annoying requirement that makes the player open up more unneeded card packs means using BC. The sad part about this is that people are still willing to play the mode despite having so many problems. Number 52. Story Designer. A feature that has been long overdue. Last seen in 2K14, Story Designer is the ultimate sandbox for players. Maybe even equal to, or more so to Universe. You can have segments and scenes in any area, and you pretty much become Triple H at home. Or, you can do something funny and have people jump off the stage, share a drink, promo backstage or in the ring. This mode provides endless storylines. The mode has a maximum of 10 years, which means you can consistently book on a yearly basis. Story design stories could be shared in community creations, which means you can share your stories and play stories that other people made. If Universe is required to take a break, I would accept this as a substitute and a side mode to Universe. This mode provides endless content for creators, so I see it as a big win. Number 53. CAW fixes. This is a very broad topic as there is so much to talk about when it comes to the CAW mode. At this point, I would fix the logo glitching that, more or less, destroyed most CAWs with a double hair glitch being had. It would make CAWs affected with this glitch bald, and we the players have to pick the hair most similar to what was on there previously. Same patch messed up the logos for everyone, and face textures got replaced with random logos. It would be good that the fixes actually do fix things and not completely destroy other things. Number 54. Create a show / pay-per-view. The precursor to Story Designer was create a show / pay-per-view. You would book a match card by selecting what match type and which wrestlers you want to put in the match. Not only that, but pay-per-view names as well. Back to the point of alternate commentary teams, you could even add which team you want in correlation to which match. Especially for content creators, we have another infinite stream of content to work with, both in-house and from the community. I see this as another big win for everybody. Number 55. Transparency for wrestlers with face paint. This is a rather niche change that I want. Wrestlers such as the War Raiders used to have face paint, but are unable to take it off. Other face painted wrestlers, including CAWs, feature face paint that chips away in the duration of a match. Having face paint that can't be taken off bothers me because I want to use a young Keiji Muto, but I'm locked to just using the Great Muta. Or the War Raiders not being able to be up to date because of the permanent paint. It may seem like a small change, but the little details matter. Number 56. CAW sliders are already in play. In CAW mode, there is a hidden feature that allows you to change AI tendencies. This allows for more strike offense, submission frequency, among other specific details. There are also sliders in the options menu. With that being said, why is it that super heavyweights like Omos are going to the top rope for a diving attack? I tried using custom sliders with Muhammad Ali, and I enabled 100% on striking and 0% on everything else. Surprisingly, it worked without a problem. Compared to regular Ali, who is default, custom Ali performed better. These behaviors with AI give the unique feeling I was looking for when it came to gameplay. gameplay. Number 57. Make moves have more impact. Modern wrestling games use mocap, where people would put on a bodysuit, do an action, and the movements would be captured. There are real people who are doing these actions as opposed to the computer animation used in older games. Wrestling revolves around moves that can be dangerous, and this is where my point is about to be made. With computer-generated animation, not AI, moves can be as brutal and devastating as they want without harming a living person. The pedigree in Here Comes the Pain looks more impactful than the one in 24. This, in combination with the camera angles, makes the moves look even better. I would sacrifice the move's realism for more impact. Number 58. Different turnbuckle pad. This is in regards to create an arena. In the WWE games, we are used to using the 3 circular turnbuckle pads all the time. If you look at Wrestle Kingdom, there are both 3 pads and the 1 large pad for use. Even in Ring of Honor, they use square turnbuckle pads. This would be a new feature that has never been seen in a WWE game. And you might be wondering, how are they going to take off the 1 large corner pad? Well, think of it as weapon skin. Same functionality, just different appearance. You'd be able to expose all 3 buckles if the large pad was removed. All the Japanese wrestling games have this, so why wouldn't the biggest mainstream wrestling company in the world not have it? Number 59. Add live entrance music updates. This is an issue that has plagued wrestling games even in the past. How often is it that a wrestler debuts a new theme song right when the game releases? As a PC player, this isn't a problem for me. However, for my unfortunate console brethren, they have to deal with having outdated content. There is no way that Visual Concepts would release a new up-to-date model without putting a price tag on it. However, adding new entrance music is the easiest way of making something that is current. A simple MP3 file added to the game, and that is all you have to do. It isn't a hard change compared to adding a whole model of graphics. Number 60. Arena effects. You know what makes an entrance have that extra kick? Reverb and bass. When you compare The Rock's entrance from 14 to 24, there's a subtle difference when it comes to the intro. Imagine hearing Stone Cold's blast shatter without the arena effect. It would be bland and boring, but with that echo, man does it hit different. This goes for every song. I want to be able to hear some banger theme songs during entrances and victories. You have casual players who don't even watch wrestling play this game, and the first impression that they have when it comes to playing are the entrances. So just like in real life, the entrances do matter to a wrestler's presentation and should be presented in such a way that evokes an emotion from the player. Number 61. Double cost slots and logo space. This is a change that is long overdue. Since 14, we have been able to have 100 cost slots and 1,000 logos. With 25 being the 11th game under the 2K license and the next generation of gaming, I feel that without a doubt that we should be getting close to having 200 cost slots and 2,000 logos. With how big the game has gone in terms of disk space, 94 gigabytes by the way, we should be able to do more with that space. Most players use these cause slots for original cause, real-life wrestlers from different promotions, and even alternate attires for in-game wrestlers. Number 62. Body morphing. This is for the COD creators out there that strive for accuracy when it comes to creation. There are several body types to choose from, but sometimes there is a specific look that is different from the default section. In games past, we used to have sliders that could be fatter, skinnier, longer, or shorter. With these specific changes, each creation is different. This can even apply to hair length, whether we want longer or shorter hair. If there's any worry about clipping, this is the least of their problems. We can handle a little bit of issues for a better experience. Number 63. Legends Titantrons. I have had it with these ugly blue Titantrons for the Legend. Why do they have generic graphics when in the Tron, there is actual footage of the wrestler? Just use the footage and get rid of the blue Titantron. It makes me wonder why some wrestlers get a custom Tron, while others don't. Why does Post Malone and Yokozuna get a custom Tron, but not Kurt Angle or DDP, or any of these legends? Just go on YouTube, download a Titantron, upscale it to the modern screen quality and ratio, then call it a day. I don't understand why this is such a problem for them when there's such an easy fix. Number 64. Day/evening time for create an arena. This was in 23. In outside arenas, you had the option to pick what time of day you want the arena to be. This is convenient for shows like WrestleMania, where the sun is still out during the show. 24, the only option is nighttime, despite having 2 arenas in the game being during the day. The way that arenas look in the daytime give a visual aesthetic that hits different compared to the normal nighttime aesthetic. Number 65, make MyRise cutscenes selectable in creative video. There are many unique cutscenes that occur throughout the playthrough of the MyRise modes, most of which involve unique actions in the cutscene. If you remove the specific wrestler, the scene just features person A, B, and C, with each person being replaceable with any character. The scenes in the mode are unavailable for selection in creative video. This is for the content creators out there who make custom content. We are being limited to normal cutscenes instead of all the available assets. There are ways to work around this by modding. Without having to jump through hoops, make the cutscenes available and don't lock them behind the MyRise. Number 66. Option to add sound during highlight reel. When it comes to the highlight reel, there's a lot of potential in this feature. This became a problem for me when I was making a custom universe mode different from the in-game mode. There was so much footage that can be taken and spliced when recording. However, the only sound that was not recorded was the crowd reaction. I would have the bass recording and an overlapping crowd reaction in the editor in order to create the scene that I wanted. By having sounds enabled, it shortens the process of having to add things step by step. Number 67. Full match replay / theater mode. All rise for the content creators. This feature is something that only we have been begging for years. Many games record matches that players can watch to get a clip, rewatch, or use for editing. In 24, you can change camera angles when you are in spectator mode. The advantage of having the theater mode is that you can rewind and go back to get a different angle of the same moment. During the live match, you may be stuck at hard cam, but in replay, you have multiple different options to choose from. It may sound like a dumb feature, but at least half the community would use it. Guaranteed. Number 68. Full screen creative video. This is a major quality of life change. In creative video, you are limited to this small video window that you can't really do much with, and 3 tracks. This mode is usually for making custom graphics and Titantrons. When you are unable to see your edits in full screen, it looks fine from a distance, but upon further inspection, it looks low quality. It would help the player using this feature to see everything that they are working on because people work hard on perfecting their edits. Number 69. Make old graphics available for Create in Arena. Create in Arena was introduced in WWE 12, and it has been more than a decade since we had this mode. There are many different base stages we could choose from, including Retro Raws, SmackDowns, NXT, and pay-per-views. The only thing that has been a hindrance is that the graphics to the shows have never been available in-game. We could use custom images, but when you go back to play the game 5 or more years later, and you want to create something, everything is starting from scratch. These graphics allow the arenas to come to life and provide a distinct feel from arena to arena. Number 70. More general-purpose graphics for Create and Entrance. 24 introduced the general-purpose graphics, which gave cause many different Trons instead of using real wrestlers' Trons. You can use various colors with a smoky background as compared to before when graphics had the wrestler's name on it, which made it super annoying when creating cause. I would like more of these general-purpose to include more stock footage, just like in the creative video. Number 71. Separate match rating from control health. This is another annoying pet peeve of mine, the 5-star rating system. Now, I don't necessarily play in the matches unless I have to. With that being said, I don't care about this feature. This is used for obtaining VC and a visual stimulus to see if you're having a quote-unquote good match. How can you tell me you can play a match without the HUD, the most important thing on the screen, and not without the stupid Meltzer's rating? I need to be able to see my special move prompts, but I can because it is tied with the ratings meter. Separate them, please. These match ratings don't matter unless you are in GM mode or in need of VC. Number 72. Don't make save data so easily corrupted, plus patches. For some reason, 2K has a situation that happens way more often than it should. Every patch is 1 step forward and 2 steps back. 24 had 14 patches in its lifetime, fixes in all modes, but breaking logo management, double hair removal, and several stability improvements. Patches are meant to fix things that are broken, and in games past, you can still play the game even with the stupid pop-up on the screen telling you to delete your data or don't play at all. Personally, I've had my data get corrupted a couple times due to the logos messing up. You can't rely on the delete all feature in the deletion utility anymore. You have to manually pick which logos you want deleted, and this can be seen as a long process, especially when you have logos from an entire roster of cause and shows. This makes the player not want to play anymore because why should they? They got their entire save data corrupted, so we have to start from scratch, and that is a deflating feeling. Number 73. Stop having username on screen. Yet another pet peeve of mine. This is for you, content creators. Every time we want to use highlight reel to get a clip, the stupid username is on the top right corner and blocks the shot we want. In order to get the shot, we have to crop out the name and zoom in on our video editor. For online and exhibition, sure, whatever. Leave it there. There isn't even an option to move it or hide it. Nothing you can do in regards to the username. I get it's some sort of user integrity thing, but move it out of the way. Number 74. Road to WrestleMania instead of MyRise. With the relaunch of the 2K series, 22 introduced MyRise mode. A fresh coat of paint on top of the My Career, a mode that has been around since 15. That means 25, if MyRise is included, would be the 10th game to feature this mode. I think it's about time to give this mode a break and bring back Road to WrestleMania. The basis of the mode is to have a feud that would last about 3 months and culminate at WrestleMania. There would be about 5 or 6 unique stories that involved an out-of-the-box story. Undertaker in 11 had druids, Triple H was thrown into a TV, Rey Mysterio got into a car accident. The quests in MyRise are pretty much equal to Road to WrestleMania, but shorter. Wrestling is the only sport where you can be as creative as you can be, without limit. The wrestlers and legends that are currently in 2K, possibilities are endless. Number 75, MyRise and Showcase, don't make it mandatory. When you have a new save and you want to pick an arena, you are met with this. I understand that we are in an era where unlocking things has become not as important as before, especially when you have to cater to both the diehards and the casuals. This mandatory playing of 2 6-hour modes becomes a grind and waste of time, especially if players just want to pick up and play. Number 76, don't add missable quests. When you play the MyRise, some people just want to get through the mode as fast as they could to get it finished. By doing this, some unlocks are missed and items are going to be locked. Such characters like Ezekiel and John Paul Levesque are characters that are unlocked through the side stories. Unless you know what specific story they belong to from the guide, more than likely you will miss the story and have to start another MyRise character. This will lead us to the next point. Number 77. All side quests are available post-game. When you finish a single playthrough of MyRise, the story just ends and you are unable to go back and play. Your character literally gets locked in the save and you can't go back. To make sure that all missions have been completed, I want all side missions to be available after your big blow-off match at WrestleMania. This allows the players to unlock all the items they were missing and not force players into another long and unneeded playthrough. Number 78. Fix or get rid of Universe. I'm sure we can handle a year without Universe in order for them to make their own engine and add the changes we want. In exchange for Universe being on the shelf, Story Designer would be the mode that satiates us until Universe comes back. Then, with both modes being available, the creativity can really go wild. Number 79. Add how often a person wrestles in Universe. How many times have you added a part-timer to the roster for a pay-per-view and they get booked for a match every week? This is a major problem when it comes to wrestlers you want to use rarely. Undertaker shouldn't have to be wrestling every week when it's the month of WrestleMania. This can be fixed by having a setting where you choose how often someone wrestles, frequent, semi, or pay-per-views. This would make certain wrestlers seem more like a big deal because of how rare they appear on the card. Number 80. Get rid of divisions in Universe. This has been a major pet peeve of mine since it became a feature in 19. The division system restricts freedom of who goes for what title. You can't go for multiple titles and are stuck only going for one specific belt, and not just only that. You would wrestle only the people within the division. This means tag teams would only fight tag teams, and the wrestlers in the world title division would wrestle among themselves. Wrestlers should be able to fight whoever they want without the restrictions of title rankings. I want to be able to have champions fight the other champions, or have the tag champs have more than one title. Number 81. Critical injuries in matches / damage carryover. The current way of injuries do not replicate what happens in real life. Injuries are out-of-nowhere accidents that do not take place over a process. In the games, you must repeatedly attack an opponent and inflict an injury at the pay-per-view, where in real life, anybody can be injured at any given time, with different levels of severance. Depending on how severe the injury is, affects the recovery time. In GM mode, there is a stamina system indicating how much health they have. I would like to see this implemented in some fashion, as wrestling involves working hurt all the time. With people being injured, it allows other wrestlers to build their stock and increase their own popularity. Number 82. Full roster drafts in Universe. With how prominent brand warfare has become, wrestlers are being traded constantly. We should be able to put all the wrestlers we want and put them in a draft within the game itself. The game would randomly select which characters are being put between what friends are selected. We the players have to use this randomizer and draft everybody by ourselves without any help from the game. I believe this feature would create the same feeling as watching the actual draft in real life. This would provide the player more time to play the game and less time having to customize everything for our liking. Number 83. Shakeups and call-ups in Universe. The next point coincides with the draft feature. Shakeups are more or less trade windows where a few wrestlers switch brands. In 18, there was a shakeup in the My Career, so we know that it is possible. They just haven't put it into Universe. You know, the mode that can actually use the feature. This can even implement the call-up system for wrestlers in NXT, another wanted feature since 2013. The call to the main roster is also an important moment for anybody who went through the Performance Center. With the roster call-up and shake-up, gives the feeling of a big star debuting. Number 84, bring back show intros. When you watch an episode of any wrestling program, it usually starts with a video package. The show intros make it feel like you're watching a real program, and with how many different intros there are, each show has a different feel to it. Currently, 24 has no show intros. It's just go and have a match. Each show needs proper representation, otherwise the build-up and blow-off for feuds are not going to matter. Arenas are one thing, but first impressions are important. These intros create a feeling of excitement that people can't wait to watch or play the matches. Number 85, Mystery Open Challenge. This is extremely relevant as Penta was brought into WWE using this point. Mystery opponents can be anybody. It's like having something in a box and not knowing what's inside. These matches were in games such as SVR 11 and WWE 12. These matches are always fun because we don't know who the opponent is. I want this to be used more often, but not so often that it becomes commonplace, but maybe once every 3 or 6 months. Number 86, post-match announcements. Another feature that was in 11 and 12. After a match, Mr. McMahon would come out and announce that the player has another match despite already having wrestled. Not only were extra opponents announced, but also match stipulations, such as false count anywhere or restarting the match. With how many different cutscenes there are, this could even include callouts and attacks. Number 87, better match tables in Universe. When you play Universe mode, you are able to select what matches you want to see or play within the match tables. However, you have to be able to do Steiner math, calculating percentages and how many of this specific match type you want. I feel that we should just put the match type without having to worry about these percentages, enable all the match types on the mode, and I'd be happy. Number 88, 2-night pay-per-views to Universe. Since 2020, 2-night pay-per-views have been a thing, starting with Wrestle Kingdom, then adopted by WWE. Sadly, this hasn't been able to be a part of the games. If you didn't know, the Universe mode tries to be as accurate as possible when it comes to the calendar. This does not work because of the spaghetti coding that they're stuck with until they take the mode out. With that being said, I would rather have the pay-per-view be on the 4th week and NXT pay-per-views the week prior. The easiest fix to the 2-night system is to add pay-per-views on Saturdays, with Raw on one night and SmackDown on the other. Number 89, multi-man rivalries. Rivalries have been stuck to singles and tag matches. Having a triple threat, or maybe up to 6 people involved, would create such an interesting story because there are a lot of elements to play with. Example would be the Final Testament against the Wyatt Six. There would be back and forth promos that would culminate in a match at the pay-per-view. The same thing with the triple threat and fatal 4-ways. Number 90, fresh title reigns in Universe. When you look at the championship menus, you can see previous reigns and reign length in combined days. The only problem is that if you have a base WWE title, it would show the record of anybody who won the title in-game and their combined days. This is annoying because a fresh Universe should have no record of anybody. The only thing Universe specific here are the title holders. I want to have an entirely clean slate when it comes to Universe. That includes championship histories. Number 91, make Universe less user dependent. This mode required people to become Triple H at home, but sometimes we just want to see how things play out. And with the current style, nothing even happens. People fight within their divisions, nobody gets injured, no teams form or break up, and no brand switching. Everything that is possible in the mode just simply doesn't happen. Universe should be full of random events. This mode has become so user dependent that the game doesn't feel like a game anymore. It's so stale and realistic in a mode where endless possibilities can happen. I want the game to have the randomness of 11, but the consistency of 12. Number 92, promos in Universe. A feature that has a mixed reaction. Not every rivalry requires a weekly match between the two. If 2 wrestlers have a weekly series, it would ruin the blow-off at the pay-per-view. That's why we need promos to give a break between rivalries. Not only that, but turning face or heel, forming and breaking up tag teams, self-promos and callouts were the options in previous games. The problem with promos is that they don't make sense majority of the time, and the people are constantly moving around the ring. If the person could just stand there occasionally moving, it would be fine, and maybe even allow custom promos or a template even, so the player can put whatever text they want. Number 93, make MyGM arenas available for all modes. In MyGM, you have many different brands to choose from. As you obtain fans and money, you can upgrade the look of your arena, from the small gymnasium to the large outdoor stadium. Each of the brands have an arena. It would be cool to have these arenas be selectable in all modes. They are already in the game, so why hide them from being playable? WCW and ECW even have custom graphics that can't be set in creative modes. Number 94, add better background music in Showcase. The current presentation of Showcase mode has background music and slingshot technology. There's no commentary, and the background music is royalty from YouTube. I know this because I got copyright claimed when streaming the mode on day one. Compare the music from older games to the music in 24. Night and day. 2K should have their own in-house music to choose from, rather than having to depend on downloading something from YouTube. Number 95. Add commentary to Showcase. This coincides with the previous point. When you are playing Showcase, there is music and no commentary. I would rather have commentary than listen to the royalty-free music during the duration of the mode. There's no music even during the cutscenes. It's the narration being read out. Either you get bad music or no sound at all. Clearly a lose-lose situation. Number 96. More late Attitude Era / Ruthless Aggression influence. The 80s and 90s showcases have been done to death. It's about time that late stage Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression became the new staple of Showcase. How many times do you have to play Hogan vs. Andre and Rock vs. Austin? I understand the historical aspect of those matches, but we have played those matches either yearly or semi-yearly. I want to play matches such as Foley vs. Orton No Holds Barred, Triple H vs. Batista Hell in a Cell, Hollywood Hogan vs. Rock, Kurt Angle vs. Brock Lesnar, Undertaker Streak at the time. The mode doesn't just have to show WrestleMania matches, but important pay-per-views. Number 97. All unlockables working, not an accelerator. In games past, we used to be able to unlock everything by either pre-ordering the game or just by purchasing the unlock in the store. This relates to various other points, such as not making MyRise and Showcase mandatory. By using this unlock everything purchase, we have everything unlocked from all the modes. Not everybody is wanting to play MyRise and Showcase because of time consumption and just plain not wanting to play those modes. The unlock everything was about $15, and both players and the company would benefit from the transaction. They get money, and we get everything in the game. If I wanted to play those modes, I would. But since we get forced to play, I don't even want to touch the mode. Bring this feature back, please. Number 98. Add more DLC arenas. 24 brought in 2 arenas when it came to DLCs. The WrestleMania 40 arena and the WCW War Games arena. In each pack, we were given a minimum of 5 characters, each with MyFaction stuff included. There was also hidden DLCs such as the Bad Bunny and the Bray Wyatt packs. I feel that there should be something extra, especially if the DLC pack doesn't hit right. Pat McAfee DLC. By adding new arenas entices players to spend more money for the season pass to get all the content. Number 99. Online refresh button. Honestly, I couldn't think of a different fix when it came to the online mode besides having better servers, which were mentioned earlier in the video. You can't connect to the server, there's no button to refresh connection. This makes the player open and close the game repeatedly until a connection to the server is made. By spamming the refresh, at least you don't have to quit the game. Number 100. Wrestling fans are the most ravenous, passionate fans that exist. We know that the craft blurs the line between fiction and reality, and that some stuff might be hokey, but we keep coming back for more. We are invested not in just WWE, but the entirety of professional wrestling. 2K has the daunting task of catering to casuals while retaining the fans they already have. This video alone is a culmination of decades of fandom, wanting a fun and authentic wrestling experience. Whenever they need ideas, just listen to us. We have an endless amount of creativity that you have the responsibility of bringing to life. Don't try and laugh at us when you release a crap DLC like the Pat McAfee pack. We are the ones paying your salaries, and if you make us mad enough, all that revenue goes away. You felt the impact of 20, the worst game of the main series, and another stinker with Battlegrounds. We fans want clear communication when it comes to this game. We have previous titles and mods to go back to if the current product doesn't deliver. We've played these games before, and all it takes is a simple avoid or massive discount. The choice is yours, Visual Concepts. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and share with everybody, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to add even more points, leave them in the comments. Bye.